What if I told you the most dangerous person isn't the one who shouts, manipulates, or even attacks you outright? The most dangerous person is the one who believes they're completely good, the one who hides their darkness, even from themselves. According to Carl Jung, this quiet danger doesn't look like evil at all, but it can destroy lives, quietly, from the inside out. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung wasn't afraid to explore what most people avoid. He believed that beneath our conscious behavior lies a dark and powerful force. Not evil in itself, but ignored, it becomes dangerous. This force is called the shadow. And today, we're diving deep into why recognizing it could be the most important thing you ever do. Stick with this video to the end. You'll not only learn what makes someone truly dangerous, you'll discover how ancient philosophy and psychology can protect you from your own blind spots. This could change how you see yourself and the people around you forever. 1. What is the shadow? The darkness within. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow to describe the unconscious part of the personality that we don't want to acknowledge. It's the container for everything we repress: envy, anger, greed, lust, fear, and trauma. These emotions and instincts don't vanish when we suppress them. They go underground, growing stronger in the dark. Everyone has a shadow. It's not a flaw in character, it's a part of being human. The problem begins when we ignore it. You might meet someone who seems overly polite, constantly cheerful, or impossibly kind, but beneath that mask may live bitterness, shame, or quiet rage. When those emotions are denied long enough, they start showing up in passive aggression, moral superiority, or even sudden violent behavior. The shadow isn't always violent, it's sneaky. It shows up when you gossip about someone you envy, when you sabotage your own success, or when you judge others harshly to avoid facing your own weaknesses. Understanding this force is the first step to self-awareness. Denying it? That's the first step toward becoming the very thing you fear. 2. Why denying the shadow is so dangerous. You've probably heard someone say, "I'm not the problem, they are." This is exactly where the shadow thrives. Jung believed that when we deny our flaws, we project them onto others. We begin seeing evil everywhere except where it truly hides, within ourselves. A person who denies their anger may become dangerously passive-aggressive, exploding unpredictably when the mask slips. Someone who represses envy may sabotage others behind a curtain of kindness. A person who insists they're always nice might guilt others into submission instead of setting healthy boundaries. But here's the frightening part. Most people don't realize they're doing it. They believe their lies. They think their behavior is rational. In Jung's words, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because to do that, we must stare into the parts of ourselves we wish didn't exist. And yet, until we do, we remain puppets, controlled by the very emotions we pretend we don't have. 3. Signs someone is controlled by their shadow. You might wonder, how can I tell if someone, maybe even me, is being ruled by their shadow? Jung's psychology, along with insights from ancient philosophy, gives us clues. Look for contradiction. A person who preaches love but spreads gossip. Someone obsessed with positivity who lashes out when criticized. Or the moral crusader who secretly lives a double life. Another red flag is extreme judgment of others. Why? Because we often hate in others what we're afraid to admit in ourselves. The man who shames others for weakness may be hiding his own fear. The woman who mocks drama may fear her own emotional depth. These projections are not conscious, but they reveal where the shadow hides. You'll also notice erratic behavior under stress. The person who's calm when things go well but becomes a different person when control slips. The shadow, when triggered, can flip someone from saint to monster. And that's what makes it so dangerous. It doesn't show itself until it's too late. 4. The wisdom of ancient philosophy. Know thyself. Long before Carl Jung, the ancient philosophers of Greece and the East warned about the inner darkness. The temple of Apollo at Delphi held a simple but profound command: know thyself. Socrates believed that self-ignorance was the root of evil, because a person unaware of their true nature cannot live wisely or safely. Plato described the human condition as prisoners in a cave, watching shadows on the wall and mistaking them for reality. These shadows are not just illusions of the world, they're projections from the unconscious mind. When we don't confront our shadow, we mistake lies for truth, and fantasies for fact. Eastern traditions also emphasize the importance of self-awareness. In Buddhism, the ego clings to illusions to avoid suffering. In Taoism, balance between yin and yang, light and dark, is essential for harmony. Whether East or West, the message is clear: denying the dark within leads to chaos. Embracing it leads to wisdom. 5. Integrating the shadow, the path to wholeness. Jung didn't believe we should eliminate the shadow. He believed we must integrate it. That means facing the parts of yourself that scare or embarrass you, and making peace with them. It means acknowledging your capacity for envy, anger, manipulation, and learning how to transform those impulses into strength. This process, which Jung called individuation, is not easy. It takes brutal honesty, deep reflection, and often discomfort. But on the other side of that struggle lies true freedom. Because once you stop hiding from yourself, you stop needing to wear masks. You become authentic, not perfect, but real. When you accept your darkness, you also reclaim your power. You're no longer triggered by others' behavior because you've faced your own. You're less judgmental, more compassionate, and far harder to manipulate. The shadow becomes an ally, not a threat. And that, Jung said, is the beginning of wisdom. 6. Staying alert, protecting yourself and others. So, what can you do with all this knowledge? First, stay alert, not just to the behavior of others, but to your own reactions. When something or someone triggers you emotionally, ask, what part of me is being touched? What am I denying? Second, don't trust appearances. People wear masks, and often the more polished they seem, the more fractured they are inside. Charm can hide manipulation. Kindness can mask control. Only time and depth reveal the truth. Finally, do the hard work. Journal, reflect, meditate, seek feedback, read deeply. Jung, Nietzsche, Plato, Marcus Aurelius. Train yourself to recognize your own patterns, and over time, you'll become someone who isn't ruled by unconscious forces, but someone who commands their own soul. Conclusion, the final insight. We often think danger comes from the outside, from others, from circumstances, from the world. But Carl Jung showed us a more uncomfortable truth. The greatest threat might come from within. When we ignore the parts of ourselves we don't like, we give them power. The shadow grows stronger in silence. And if we don't face it consciously, it will find unconscious ways to show itself. Through our relationships, our decisions, and the pain we repeat without knowing why. But here's the hope. Darkness doesn't have to be an enemy. When we turn toward it, examine it, understand it, we don't just protect ourselves from harm, we grow. We become more whole, more grounded, more real. And perhaps most importantly, we become less likely to harm others in the ways we were once blind to. So stay alert, not to become paranoid, but to become wise. In a world that tells you to look away from your flaws, dare to look deeper. The truth may be uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of liberation. Thank you for watching. If this opened your eyes, share it. Start a conversation. And never stop asking the one question that has guided seekers for centuries: who am I, really?